The 26th season of The Voice is back in the hands of the American people. In the hopes of having their names called when this season comes to a close on the 2024 television schedule, the top 5 artists who were voted through from the semifinals the previous week showcased their talents during the live final that took place on Monday. Rookie coach Michael Bublé had 2 singers left, while on December 9, Snoop Dogg, Reba McEntire, and Gwen Stefani each had 1 artist remaining. They sang 2 songs, one of which was an up-tempo song, and the other was a ballad. Although the audience was given a night filled with enjoyable music, the question remains: who of the contestants performed enough to win the grand prize? Each of the 5 finalists had all 4 of The Voice's coaches competing for them in the blind auditions, which ensures that there will be another victor of the 4-chair turn competition in season 26. It is interesting, however, that there were no country performers featured in the conclusion. In light of the fact that the United States of America is faced with a challenging choice, let us first examine the events that transpired on Monday before I reveal my recommendation for the winner based on the final performances. The artists are listed in the order in which they made their initial appearance. Team Reba's Danny Joseph is named. Danny Joseph, the rocker represented by Reba McEntire, stated that he had nothing to lose going into the final round of competition since he had won the instant save in the semifinals. He began the performance with Luke Combs' Ain't No Love in Oklahoma, which was the high-energy note that we required at that moment's moment. The song Back to Black by Amy Winehouse was the one that gave him the opportunity to demonstrate his guitar talents and his distinctive snarl later in the evening. Even though he had a good night, was it enough to earn the vote of the American people? A member of Team Snoop, Jeremy Belo: I really hope that the casting directors on Broadway watch The Voice, because it appears like Jeremy Belo is destined to be on the Great White Way. He began by demonstrating his powerful crooning abilities with the song What the World Needs Now Is Love. And oh my goodness, I had forgotten that he possesses that stunning falsetto that he can pull out anytime he feels the need to do so. Belo brought the same intensity to Robin's Dancing on My Own, when his loud and forceful voice blasted out to potential voters. His coach, Snoop Dogg, was in tears, and Belo brought in the same emotion. Shai, who is on Team Michael. Although I adore One of Us by Joan Osborne, I thought it was an odd choice for the final song because it was a more upbeat track. On the other hand, Shai has been a formidable force for Michael Bublé throughout this season, so I wasn't too upset about it. As a result of understanding the trip that the 18-year-old singer has been on, her second performance, which was Falling by Harry Styles, was the ideal way to bring the episode to a close. I have enjoyed watching her develop and discover her confidence while she has been competing on The Voice. It has been reported that Bublé and Snoop Dogg have already been discussing her future right after the event. Coach Snoop has stated that he is eagerly anticipating the release of her album, which he hopes will be released under his record label. Have that put in writing, you girl. Team Gwen's Sydney Sterlace is the one. Gwen Stefani was able to boast the youngest remaining member of season 26 in the form of Sydney Sterlace, who was only 16 years old at the time. Sydney Sterlace performed I Love You, I'm Sorry by Gracie Abrams, which was both one of the night's only songs from this decade. Despite the fact that her voice is stunning and had a delicate vibrato that she does not abuse, I had the impression that this was more of a showcase of the kind of album she could produce than a performance that would serve as the climax. She then went on to release Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol, which not only caused Grey's Anatomy fans all over the world to experience post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, but also prompted Reba McEntire to express her admiration for her as a positive role model for her sisters and other young women. Team Michael's Sofronio Vasquez is the one. After Sofronio Vasquez gave Shai's song Unstoppable his own unique spin, all 4 coaches stood up and cheered. According to Michael Bublé, he wanted it to have the feel of a battle song, and it most certainly did, which is precisely what you should do when you are competing in the finals. Vasquez has a tone that does not require much effort, and he really demonstrated some incredible runs. During his second song, he played A Million Dreams from The Greatest Showman, which provided us with additional evidence of that conflict. It is safe to say that the folks in the studio were not the only ones who were emotional during the performance of the song. The singer was so overcome with emotion that he could hardly sing the final line of the song. Is there anyone I believe should win the 26th season of The Voice? It was Sofronio Vasquez. According to the performances that took place tonight, Sofronio Vasquez, a member of Michael Bublé's squad, displayed a feeling of urgency in both of his performances, which gave the impression that he was very interested in achieving his goal. He has been consistent throughout the entire season, even to the point that Jennifer Hudson threw a shoe at him, which is the finest compliment that can be given. When Belo told him at the beginning of the blind auditions, it was possible that the writing was already on the wall. During that time, Reba McEntire shared with Gwen Stefani that Michael Bublo had the potential to win the competition if Sofronio Vasquez had chosen to join his performance team. It is my firm belief that he ought to. In spite of this, I must confess that Shai almost managed to convince me to change my mind with her show Closer. However, it seems as though Snoop Dogg is interested in working with her, and I sincerely hope that the young artist makes the most of this opportunity. In any case, I believe that Michael Bublo has the potential to win the inaugural season of The Voice. If one of his artists is successful in doing so, he will become the fourth new coach of The Voice to win on their very first attempt, joining the ranks of Niall Horan, John Legend, and Kelly Clarkson. That does not include Adam Levine, who was the winner of the first overall season of the show. Nonetheless, Bublo will have the opportunity to receive a close-up look at the Maroon 5 singer's coaching method when The Voice Season 27 is shown on television in the year 2025. The finale of The Voice Season 26 has come and gone, and like every year, the final performances were a mix of raw talent, emotional depth, and jaw-dropping vocal technique. As fans, we've watched these incredible contestants battle it out week after week. And now the stage is set for one of them to take home the coveted title. But who really deserves to win based on the final performances? As always, it's a tough decision. But there are a few standout contestants whose final showings left an undeniable impact. In this piece, I'll break down the performances from the final, reflect on the growth we've seen throughout the season, and ultimately decide who I believe should win The Voice Season 26. It is imperative that you cast your vote, regardless of whether you agree with me or not, about the winner of Season 26. Voting will continue until 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time on December 10, and fans will be able to cast one vote per email address on the official Voice app, as well as on the website for The Voice. If you want to see the results, then tune in. After a 2-hour finale that will feature performances by former coaches Kelly Clarkson and Dan plus Shai, as well as the two most recent winners of The Voice, Huntley and Asher Havon. The show will begin with a recap of the performances that took place on Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, ET.